outside rain. So it's give and take. Outside rain, you're not so worried about it at this point.
No.
Okay.
Go ahead and pick up your reins again. And do that very same walks exercise that you were doing when you very first got on with the little circles. It all goes back to that. Walking around and just pretend like you just got on him and you're going to go do that exercise again. And what's happening is I want him to flex a little to the inside and I want him to bend a little bit to the inside. But, he kind of gets you sitting off to the outside, okay? And he gets the saddle slipping a little to the outside, okay? Both directions. Which then, I don't want to make this more complicated than it is, but this is what's happening.
But I'm not.
So then, when that saddle ever so slightly is shifting a little to the back of it, goes out to the outside, and then it shoves your hips to the right. You're sitting off to the right. Right now, your left hip is sitting forwards. Your right hip gets a little bit backwards. And then you're stuck behind the motion. And that's when you're going to get this lurching going back and forth. So instead of thinking so much about controlling what is in front of you, you need to feel like you can control what's behind you and not letting him shift you around behind. Does that make sense? And I really, like I said, I don't want to make this more complicated than it is, because really what it comes down to is you need to be straight and he needs to be straight. But when you do those little walk circles walking around, you can feel him, like right there, pushing you out to the right. You have to think of staying down long on that inside so that the inside leg is longer than the outside leg, is what you've got to think about.
I don't think that's ever happened. Because I'm always just wedged.
Yeah, and you will see in your video, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. He makes it very obvious. Okay?
Yes, yes.
And so
Here I am.
it isn't really like he's doing that much, but it really is like when you're walking around with your two seat bones, and just make those little walk circles. That was too tight.
Too tight, okay.
You have your panels in your saddle and you have that empty part. You want to feel like with your two seat bones that you are going to keep that saddle right down the middle of his spine. Your spine is going to come down and meet that saddle in the middle of the seat, and you're going to keep those panels of that saddle even on both sides of his spine. Feel like you don't have a girth on that saddle. Okay? There you go. And now just walking him around. So your hips are much more even there. See what I'm saying? And right there when he comes above the bit, if you're sitting like that, you just kick him a little forward. Just tap him up and say, no, you go. That will connect him. Not by you manipulating your body around, trying to appease him. Because he's sort of like, oh, well, if I can kind of get her over here and over there, then it makes it more comfortable for me. And it's not about what's more comfortable for him. He's not training you. There you go. Now, bend him a little bit more to the inside. But I think that is what causes this sort of forward and back and him kind of all over the place, is the fact that he can kind of push you from side to side however he wants. You know what I mean?
Yes, he can.
And I want you to stay much more planted there with your seat bones on both sides of his spine. And now
if I
bend.
walk towards you, does that look right?
I can see it more when you walk away from me. And I can see it more too in his whole body, how he's going. When he's forward and straight, you're forward and straight. You know what I mean? I want you to really think, and that's what I'm saying, is I don't want to make it more complicated than it is. I really want to see him march forward and straight from both of your seat bones forward into the contact. You can bend him to the left right here, but it's not that you're going to give up that right side and let everything shift to the outside. You're going to keep that outside aid on him. You're just going to flex his head to the left. Nothing changes on the right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes.
You're not going to give up the right leg. You're not going to push your hips to the right to bend him to the left. You're just going to flex him a little to the left, and that right side stays exactly the same. There you go. And that is what he's got to learn a little bit there. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good. Yeah. And now you just march him forward there. He will eventually, it's like a horse on the side reins. They're eventually going to get, they're not going to walk around hitting those side reins all day long. And where they end up getting this is that we go 3 or 4 steps and we think, it's not working, got to do something else. So then we end up all over the place instead of even for both seat bones into both reins. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Feel that connection there? You feel him settling into both sides there a lot more evenly. Good. Because when it comes down to getting the horse connected on the bit, it's really actually a very simple thing. We make it more complicated than it is. They just walk, you shorten the reins, and you keep it even on both sides, and they might go for a minute, and we say no, and they're like, all right, fine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the way it is most of the time with an easy horse. There are those jerk horses that aren't going to do that, and but he's not one of them. Good. Now, see if you can just bend him a little bit to the right without changing anything on the left. See what I mean there? Good. And now you're sending them from both, and that's what I'm talking about. They'll kind of go, for a minute, fuss around. We ignore them, and you keep riding the same. You're not doing anything wrong. It's his problem, not yours. Yeah. See, that's a good sign. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good. And then when you're ready, trot on. Keeping this feeling here, really working on your position. Both hip bones, both hands. Because when you get that, and like I said, you might trot him off and he might be like, don't want you this way. You ignore him. You ignore his problems. Look, now you think about your position here and riding consistently steady. There you go. Good job. Yes, and now can you bend him to the right without changing anything on the left? That's a way. And then when he gives a little on the right, you soften the right rein. That's a way. Keeping the left. And then you ask him a little on the right, and then you soften the right rein after he gives. Because if we hold and hold and hold, it does not become clear to them what we want. But you do not change anything on your left side. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, right, yeah.
And now look at this trot. It's the same every single step, and he is carrying you forward. And then you don't have to worry so much about holding his head down. He's just going around there. We want it to be easy. You can't make it hard. There you go. Now I want you to change directions and circle off to the left on this open end over here. And now you're just going to keep the right side. Nothing changes on the right. Yes? And you feel like you're rising over to the left leg, making that left leg longer so that he bends up and around it. Yes, not everything shoving off to the outside. Circle. And you kind of have a bit of a death grip there with your hands. And circle. Good job. Yeah. Good, and bend into the left. Good. And bend him to the left. Good. Just keeping that right side. But keeping it. Nothing changes on the right. Good job. That's it.
Okay, do I look uneven again, my hips?
I can't hear you.
Do I look heavy on the right? Am I even?
I feel like pretty even. And the thing is that walk for a second and give him a pet. He's doing very good. When you get on your horse, you let it be a mirror of what's going on with you. When the horse is doing something wrong, you have to think, huh?
I think probably I am, if it's
Yeah.
a mirror.
That trot was one of the best trots you had today. So I'm thinking that you're sitting pretty good, is what I'm thinking sitting here. All right? Again, I don't want to make it more complicated. It's simple. It's easy. Okay? You have to keep it that way. And if you're riding there and you're like, man, this feels good. Is this too much? Is that too little? Or what? No. You have to think everything must be perfect and enjoy the ride and smile and relax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Because
that's what I want.
all too often we get on and they're like, well, the horse is doing this and that, and then it does this and that. And it's like, well, what are you doing? You know? He just wants to go around and do his job. So we have to get you sitting square and even on both sides so that he can. Yeah, and breathe here a little bit. 'Cause he's such a good guy. Oh, good, you're going to give me some. So if you come ride him tomorrow, I want you to watch your video. And if you come ride tomorrow and you do one thing, you just walk around and you just focus on your seat bones and where you're going in that saddle, it's going to be a very easy fix. It's just bringing a little bit of an awareness to you on it.
I've always had the concept you had to put your weight somewhere, or there, here or there, and it should be in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
for a beginner, for me, it's got to be.
We're always in the center. And if you're going to change your weight, it's as simple as looking one way or the other way, and that will change your weight so much. Remember, they can feel a fly landing on their back. We don't have to throw ourselves one direction or the other. Okay? And it isn't, think about it this way. It's not about how much you do to create something. It's about how little you do to create that something. Think about it that way. And then that's where really the feeling and the finesse of the whole thing happens, you know? And that's to me where it becomes really fun, because that's where it's hard. It's not hard because it's hard and it takes a lot of work. It's hard because it's really sorting out of how little can I do to create this. Yeah. And then the horses are all so much happier, because we're not up there trying to make a wrestling match out of something that could be so simple. There you go. Good job. And really, yeah, very good.
Finally. Keep it.
Yeah, and that he just learns that he goes forward and even into both sides. Good job. And when you're ready, go ahead and trot on. You may not be ready, but go ahead and do it. Good. And now keeping it even on both sides. Excellent. Yes. Good. And then you think, can I bend him to the left and keep everything the same on the right? Can you open your left rein, flex him a little to the left, get him to give a little in his jaw, and soften the left rein, and everything stays the same on the right? Yeah, there you go. Good. And now, again, open that inside rein. Yeah, and soften it. And just don't open it to open it, but you're opening it to kind of flex them a little to the left. So can I bend you a little to the left? All right, and then soften it. Because then,
Yeah.
as soon as you soften, the next time, see if you can do less. Maybe you just tightening your fist. All right? That you don't do anything. See what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, yes.
And that now you're doing as little as possible. And you're not going around wrestling him, holding his head down. That he learns to go softly there and stay on the bit there. See what I mean? How nice is that? Good. And then when you're ready, go ahead and canter. Same concept. Don't think, oh dear God, I better hang on for dear life and screw it all up. Just take a deep breath and canter. There you go. See? In the beginning, you were making such a to-do about it that you're throwing each other off. Good. Right there, you're hanging on too much. Yes. Talk to him and then let go. Talk to him and let go. Don't hold the correction. Correcting the horse is one thing, but hanging on to the correction is not going to fix it. Yeah, now forward there. Swing him up with your hips. See what I mean there? That's nice. Good. Swing him up with your hips. Yeah. Good. Good job. Just hold your hands there. Good. And then take a deep breath out and settle into the shrine. Good. 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 And just hold your hands there softly and feel like it's a very delicate little project that you've got to whittle away at. You've got to take the little pieces and make the little corrections and let it take 2 or 3 strides. It doesn't have to happen that instant, okay? There you go. And now he's wanting to stretch down a little bit too, isn't he? Good. And then walk and he'll canter the other way.